Yo guys, kind of a quick review. This is the Dire Promise hand cannon. It's a dead orbit hand cannon and it looks, well, pretty much just like the old fashioned, except for you can actually see the dead orbit marking on it. So really cool little gun, man. Something that I want to go ahead and mention about this weapon as well, it falls within the same archetype as Sunshot. So for my guys out there that really like Sunshot, I'm a huge fan of Sunshot, even in PvP. You know, if you like that archetype, then you might really feel at home with this weapon. Now, old fashioned is kind of a slower, harder hitting weapon. It has a little more range. You can actually look at the comparison now between the two. As you can see right there, the range and the impact's a little bit higher there on old fashioned. But let's talk about Dire Promise, the perks it's got going along with it, as well as the gameplay. Now, I go with True Sight on mine. It does come with Steady Hand and Fast Draw. Again, guys, I found that True Sight just to be a very good perk because it essentially just adds on a little bit of stability, and it's still the same from D1 as it throws on a little extra aim assist and stuff like that. And so it's kind of like, to me, I like True Sight over Sure Shot. Now, moving on to Steady Rounds or Appended Mag. Now, I was kind of swapping up between both of these. Honestly, I feel like the gun already has a pretty decent amount of range. But just depending on the map and your play style, you can swap between both of these. Now the third perk, which is the trait Triple Tap, of course, which is rapidly landing precision hits, will return 1 round to the magazine from reserves. Now, so far, none of these things are very much impressing me. I think this hand cannon, perk wise, would have been better if it came with something like Kill Clip. I would have appreciated it more. I think that's what makes old fashioned such a good weapon. Of course, we don't want something to be identical, but Triple Tap to me is just mainly utilized in PvE, not necessarily a PvP perk per se. Also, the intrinsic perk is a lightweight frame for those that were wondering. Superb handling, move faster with a weapon equipped. So let me talk about this weapon. How is it? Is it the gun you should be using in Crucible, and should you be using this over something even like Sunshot or old fashioned? So the time to kill of this weapon is actually 1.2 seconds. If you want to know something like old fashioned or even weapons like, well, Sunshot's actually 1.2 seconds as well. But even weapons like Minuet, those guns are around 1.3 seconds. So of course it's a little bit faster, but it's one of those things. To me, it's like, can you get the rate of fire down? Sometimes I feel like, over where old fashioned is in Minuet, those are sometimes a little more manageable, those hand cannons, right? They're not as spammy, and in a situation where you're trying to reach an optimal time to kill, you do not want to be spamming your weapon. But so it's a decent time to kill, nothing necessarily to jump up about, but is the weapon itself consistent enough to be loading out? And I find that this gun is okay, and maybe something that I would use maybe in PvE. But in terms of its PvP capabilities, I find that there's a lot more alternatives to be better than this. I think my favorite hand cannon thus far has been Bad News, by the way. I think Bad News is one of my favorites. Old Fashioned is another favorite of mine that I really like. Those hand cannons, very a little harder hitting in the old fashioned department. Bad News is very much harder hitting, but very consistent. There's one thing to say about those hand cannons, they're really consistent. I feel like a lot of times Dire Promise almost seemed to blank on me, and so that's something that you might run into with this weapon as well. Well guys, that's my thought on the Dire Promise. I know this is kind of a short review. To be honest with you guys, I just wasn't that impressed with it. By the way, if you want to know how to get this gun, all you have to do is simply go to Cayde, buy the Nesus treasure maps, the Ace of Spade maps, and go out there and loot those chests. I actually looted them on my account, could not get them. Light Razor actually ended up getting them. You are going to be getting other faction weapons from those chests. I don't know if that's going to be the only, I doubt that's going to be the only way we get faction weapons. But currently right now, you're able to be you're able to get rewarded with one of these guns. But anyways, guys, that's my thoughts on Dire Promise. I hate it. I wish I could say something else better about it. Like, I wish I could say this was a better weapon than what it actually is. It's okay is all I could say about it. But I also think that hand cannons in general are much steeper learning curve in D2 than it was in D1. and so it's gonna take some getting used to. And so it's taken me some getting used to. And so the transition for me from D1 hand cannons to D2 hand cannons for old fashioned and also for bad news and sunshot have not been as steep. I feel like Dire Promise itself is a little more difficult to get down and to find some consistency there, because I feel like a lot of times, man, it was almost as if phantom bullets were plaguing it. Well, guys, that's my thoughts on it, man. Thank you so much for coming and watching. If you enjoyed this video, definitely hit that thumbs up. And as always, guys,
slap that like button like your mama told you right.